truth about working with stars. Hello everybody, my name is Marco Bagnoli, I'm a cinematographer, and today we look at this Billie Eilish and Nike commercial, and I will show you the lighting breakdown, how they shot the scenery, but I will also explain the workflow, how it is to work with famous people, musicians, influencers. This is the first shot we're looking at, and as you can see, the locations are very monochromatic. We have all these brownish colors also on her outfit, so we're going for a very natural color look. And in combination with all these brown colors, we have this green carpet on the floor, which really gives us this forest-like feeling. Also, when I'm going in a location, scouting the location, and I know most of the time you do more simple collaboration with prominent people because you don't have too much time. Everything is really expensive. So you check for a location where you can use many different areas at the same time so that you can prepare one shoot while shooting the other thing, because these people have not a lot of time and every second is really expensive. So very often when you're doing a product placement, you try to work around one location. So when I would go into that room, I would always look for my light sources. We have this big window front, we have this weird shell-like lamps, and this lamp. As a cinematographer, it's always much more easy to work with what you have. And we have this big window source, so this is where the light has to come from. This gives you a very natural look, a light motivation, and everybody on set knows what to do. As you can see on her face, we have this really hard side light, and we're going for this look because it gives a very bright and poppy feeling, but also makes everything more moody because now we are in the sunset, sunrise kind of area. When you look at it, the curtains are closed. Most of the time you have a curtain or something in front of the window to diffuse the lights, and so that we don't have to compensate for everything that's in the background. Because here when the window would be open, maybe it's brutally ugly behind it. So we close it and now we have control over the scenery. Also, I think that's a really nice texture with this also different colors of shades here. And how you light something like this when it's not diffused, because you can look at it, it looks like natural sky outside. So what they probably done here is they just put one big lamp, something like an M90, M40, and so the biggest thing you can afford for the set, and just with a small diffusion with a frost frame in front of it and blast it into the scenery. We have one for maybe her, that also is for the background, and most important, another one for the ground. Don't just light your actor. When you just light your actor, it looks like a lamp, but because think about it, we have a sun, the sun wouldn't just light her, it would also light the floor, the wall. So try to always think about it, because you create more layers and it looks more natural. Now we have 1, 2, 3 layers, and our image becomes more three-dimensional, what's always our goal as a cinematographer. So after you done that, the shot is most of the time pretty done. Now you're going for the light control. So here, it's a very dark and woody location. Normally you don't have that much bounce. But when you're in a smaller room with white walls, light would bounce all across it. That's the reason why we put a big negative fill on the opposite side of the wall, so we don't have any unwanted bounce that diffuses, that brings the light back into our actor and get rid of our nice half-lit look. Next thing a lot of people ask me, because I very often say just throw on every practical you have, and there are a lot of commercials like this one where the practicals are off. Most of the time you don't use it when it just doesn't fit the look or the mood, because these lamps will probably make a really ugly warm glow around here and maybe fill in the shadows, and it will just destroy the color palette of the scene. So they better thought about it and said, no, we don't want any of these practicals on. The close-up of the scene also looks very pretty, because now when you're going for the close-up, you can bring another diffusion really close on the edge of the frame to get a little better roll-off. As you can see, the light becomes way more soft. The Rembrandt is really soft, and we still have defined shadows, but it feels much more creamy. But what they done is they put the skin on her key side very bright. I will show you it with false color. And normally most people would expose everything on her face a little bit darker. But I like to work with extremes on skin tones. When the skin is nearly clipping, it really gives the feeling of so sun feeling. It just gives a nice look. Then here we're gonna close up. Now, because I said before, you have to light in layers. Why didn't they light the book? The whole concept, throw it away when you're going for close-ups. Because now I don't want that part to be that bright. Because now I need shadows, create more depth. Because I want this dark and this bright. Then you have the dark hair. And then you have, again, the bright wood. Now we have more layers in the image. And the focus is mainly on her, because she's clearly the brightest part. Overall, when you're working with prominent people, time becomes a lot different way than normally, because you pretty much underestimate the makeup, stylist, and everything about the looks part. Very often it's when you work with women, there are 5, 6, 7 hours with the stylist and the makeup, and you only planned to shoot 10 hours so a day, and you want to start at 8 a.m. So that's not possible. Some of the time you have to plan your shoot way later, because people tend to don't oversleep, but they need the time, and just sometimes just not that good with time management. So you always plan a big buffer. There are very often people that are always on time, but there are also way more often people that are not on time. So plan it with your crew, plan the budget with overtime, because these kind of shoots really tend to be longer. Now we have this really cool fridge shots, and they are pretty simple most of the time, because you can just put your f(x) with a fisheye lens, an 8mm lens, 10mm lens from Naova. It's all pretty popular now when you don't want to use or have this fisheye look, because you just want wide angle. Put it in the fridge and it's good, because this is a Nike commercial from Billie Eilish. You probably will cut the fridge on the other sides just off, so that you can put your big camera with a tripod in there and just shoot through it. And also the key that she's getting is just the light from the fridge, because you don't have a lot of space in there. Also, what I find is interesting, they're really going with this warmer color temperature. Everything has this warm touch over it. Her skin also, it's a really clear use of some kind of film stock. Looks like de-hancer for me. And it just looks good. Meanwhile, she's pouring that water. We are in this kitchen location. And what you probably don't see, because we see it in the other shots, the window is still from the side. So what we are doing, we still want this big window light feeling, because normally people would probably use this practical and use this light to light her up. But it would really get really moody and contrasty, but also really greenish, bluish. And that's not the look that you want. You still want this warmerish color. So we probably put a big 8x8 butterfly in here with flags around it, so that we don't spill the light, and just put a 1200D or something like that in front of it and blast it on Billy. You always want to imitate real life. So if you want a window light look, try to replicate a window. This will give you the best results. So if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate subscription from you. Here is daily upload, so subscribe to this channel. My name is Marc Bagnoli. See you next time.